Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. At this point, we'll be looking at the security state in Nigeria, where the National Bureau of Statistics, that's the NBS, has revealed that Nigerians paid 2.23 trillion naira in ransoms in the 12 months from May 2023 to April 2024. The figure comes from the NBS Crime Experience and Security Perception Survey. The survey shows 51.89 million crime incidents were recorded across Nigerian households, highlighting the widespread nature of criminal activities. Now, of the households affected by kidnappings, 65% were forced to pay a ransom to secure the release of their victims, with the average ransom demand reaching 2.67 million naira. Now, this reflects growing an unchecked wave of criminal activities, particularly when it comes to kidnapping, which seems to be sweeping in some parts of the country. Well, joining me on the program at this time to discuss this is Roy Okidevbie is a security expert, and he joins virtually from Texas in the U.S. Thank you for joining me, Roy.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, and I think I should start by asking you, Roy, what do you make of this very disturbing statistic?
Well, last interview, I talked about the trauma that security professionals go through, analyzing all of these circles of disappointments. You know, this is another circle of disappointment, because if you foretell that certain things are going to go this way, and you calculate an intervention, possible interventions, activities that will curb, curtail, eliminate, deter such foretell, then if they were not imputed or they were not sincerely activated, and the circle keeps going round and round. And guess what? The worst and the most painful part is that same Nigerians that are suffering the current economic crisis, same Nigerians that are facing the market uphill because of the fuel situation, same Nigerians that are also bedeviled with unnecessary tasks from hoodlums and bandits in the extremes, same Nigerians that are paying these ransoms without any leeway of protection or exoneration from these criminals by the country.
I mean, let's look at the spread of this, will I call it insecurity or security incidences. Now, the survey highlights regional disparities in crime rate, with the northwestern region suffering the highest number of crime incidents at over 14.4 million. Then there's also that of the North Central, which of course is closely following with 8.8 million incidents, while the Southeast region recorded the fewest with 6.18 million. Why exactly? I mean, you can see the spread on the screen there. I mean, this breakdown is pretty much alarming. Yeah, more of this incident seems to be tailored, towards the north. What's your reaction to this? Why is that?
Let me first of all try to be fair. You know, we are dealing with documented evidence, and the group that has documented this evidence are supposed to have sincere evidence that they are correct. Now, we are not here to say if they are correct or not, because we don't have a corroborating opposite statistics. What we are going to say is this: if there are such magnitude of criminal activities in the north, and there is less in the south and southeast, my question still goes: do you feel safe when you go to any part of this country? Do you feel safe in your estate in Lagos, where a drug cartel was busted? Do you feel safe when you are in Abuja, where bandits walk into an estate and pack out people and take them away? Do you feel safe in the East, where also, if it's not a Monday, at any other day, criminality persists? I think Nigerians should understand that criminality and the crime wave in the country bedevils every nook and cranny. The statistics we are being portrayed now are those that are in the purview of the media. There are times that we have seen baby-making factories in the East, where ladies are kept somewhere and they are reproducing children. We have seen graveyards of decaying bodies in the East. We have also seen cases of kidnapping, especially religious leaders and political office holders. So in the North, what is happening in the North is also connected with banditry and terrorism. Because as a terrorist, when you lost favor with your rank and file, you break away and you become a bandit. Then also we have high chunk of Almajiri children in those areas that grow up into nothingness, nothing else to do. And so many other people coming from the borders using religion as a cloak to now be available to be recruited and given weapons to intimidate Nigerians. So it's dicey to really hedge on what that those materials are producing, and to say that sincerely that is the spread pattern and that is acceptable.
All right, let me bring in James Ibor, is the Secretary Administration of Criminal Justice Monitoring Committee. He joins virtually from Cross River State into the conversation. Thank you for your time, James. James, okay, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining the program. I would like to believe you've been following the conversation. What do you make of this statistics by the NBS as regards the payment of ransom, by Nigerians?
Yes, it's actually very alarming, especially given the fact that the defense budget has been increasing. The defense budget has been increasing, and 1/3 of our total budget is voted for solving security issues. And it's not surprising because of also the issues of food insecurity, unemployment, and the general economic hardship. So crime rate will usually skyrocket. So I think the agencies of government, the government of the day will have to do more. We have soldiers policing the entire country, supporting the police. And yet, the more soldiers are deployed, the more police officers are employed and deployed, the more we have issues of insecurity. What that tells you is that we need to do more to solve issues of food insecurity and to also boost employment.
Okay.
I think also it's also clear that we have to start auditing our security spending. There's a lot of corruption. You see the kind of lifestyle generals and security agents are having. And this also agrees with the issue of corruption. So you can see that the data is agreeing negatively, and that is very unfortunate.
Okay, I would want to go to specifics now, particularly with the issue of ransom payments, even though we know that there's a legislation against that. But for families of victims, there are cases where they would rather, want to go with that option to pay ransom than even carry security agencies along. I mean, could this be a situation of trust deficit?
Honestly, because in fact, before we talk about issues of trust deficit, 50% of the ransoms paid are paid through or in collaboration with security agencies. that data is out, it is clear. And it's very unfortunate because if you don't even pay the ransom, the security agencies will tell you that you're not serious. If you don't fund what appears to be their investigation, they tell you you're not serious. In fact, if you're not careful, they will criminalize you, that you know something about it. That's why you're not giving money for them to do investigation.
So you need to sponsor the investigation?
Yes. Yes,
as a
you
victim.
See security agencies asking for money to do tracking. It is common. It's common, except you don't live in Nigeria. It is very common that security agencies ask for money for police to do tracking, to do investigation and all that. So families are usually frustrated and they will prefer to deal directly with to cut costs and deal directly with the kidnappers. And let me tell you, what the data MBS has presented is a shortfall of what actually exists, because many families do not even contact the police at all, or even disclose how much they pay, because the kidnappers have instructed that security agencies should not be informed. So it is unfortunate, in spite of the fact that we are unifying data, we have BVN, and you see, this problem can be solved. We have BVN, and we have these kidnappers use banks, they use data, they use internet. Most times they make calls to collect ransoms. So how come that it is difficult to solve the security challenges, even when they also deploy technology? It shows you clearly that our security agencies are either dishonest or do not have the capacity to use
technology
to tackle crime.
James, sorry to, of course, cut you. We need to go on a quick break. When we return, definitely we will pick up the conversation. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and at this time we are discussing the security situation in the country, particularly with reference to a report by the NBS. I still have my guest with me, James Ibor, Secretary, that's the Administration of Criminal Justice and Justice Monitoring. He joins virtually from Cross River. I also have Roy Okedivie, is a security expert who also joins virtually from Texas in the US. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Now, let me go back to you, Roy. The same question I asked James before we went on that break, I'll be throwing that to you too, particularly, with reference to the fact that could this be a situation of trust deficit or incompetence on the part of security agencies? Then there's even a twist to this. There have also been cases where some of these bandits display, let me call it, spoils of ransom on social media. A very viral one, or where mostly you see quite a couple of them, is on TikTok. They don't hide their faces. Some of them show their faces. They show the monies they've collected. They lie on it. And at the end of the day, I mean, nothing seems to be done. So, number one, my question is, I mean, such effrontery, what exactly does this reflect?
Well, I think Ibor did some level of justice to that. We need to understand something. We started politics when the military regime took over and lasted for a long time. And during the time that the military regimes were active in Nigeria, the politicians formed their own group, I think Nadeco or something, and started coming to the barracks. Then I was in the military too, as a military personnel. And I've seen where the police were shortchanged, were handicapped, were belittled by the military regime system, because the military regime system will not want another armed group that will become an opposition or a rebel group in the country with arms. So definitely the police was shortchanged. And that is how the police grew that tradition of saying, we don't have fuel in our vehicle. Because definitely, if they are supposed to be giving like 100,000 naira, they are giving 50,000 naira. The officers in charge on the hierarchy, we also take away theirs. At the end of the day, it will be like 10 naira, 10,000 naira that will be there. So we saw a depreciation, we saw a decline in professionalism, the system that the policing does. The military guys can go to the police station and say, release so and so person to me. So coming into power back to civilian rule, the civilians now saw the opportunity of a decapacitated police system to now begin to grow hoodlums. And we have area boys, we have bad guys snatching ballot boxes, intimidating voters, even in the presence of policemen. And these guys, after the election, before the next 4 years, they become like local kings, you know, and this started to enhance the system of cultism and all this kind of banditry and all those activities. And this handicapped the police a lot. Now, let's come back to where the police now have opportunity to grow itself. We started to have articulate people becoming an Inspector General of Police. But guess what? They are also handicapped because the Police Service Commission system became an opposite of the Inspector General of Police office. There were conflicts. You guys have recorded it in the news. You know, and these conflicts has also affected the professionalism of the police, the recruitment system, you know, and the deployment system. And this is bad.
All right, because we're pressed for time, James, what's your final thoughts on this? What is the way out?
Simple. I think I want to commend Roy for being honest, and I've said that a number of times. I think what we need to do is to go back. If we have a well-funded police force, like in every civilized country, the police is at the center of every civilization. And if we have a well-funded police force, we would have solved the problem by half. Where we budget for them properly, we release the money, and we track expenditure. So we need to deploy technology in solving insecurity in Nigeria. And one of the things this government must do, and do it very quickly, is the way we, what they are trying to introduce, issue of banking, you know, digital banking, where we should reduce the cash that goes around. So it will be difficult for people to withdraw money and pay ransom with cash. Transfer should be made. It will be easier to track. You know, so
but won't that also put the life of the victims at risk?
No, we have to make some sacrifices. We just have to make sure. So funding the police properly, building their capacity, digitalizing the process of tackling insecurity, and also going cashless. Remember, the short period we went cashless, kidnapping and armed robbery reduced.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. This, of course, is what time permits. I'm sincerely grateful. Thank you so much for being on the program, Roy, and also James. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, in case you missed out, you can actually catch up on our YouTube platform. That's News Central TV. You can also stick around for a repeat broadcast later tonight. You can choose to follow us across social media with the same handle, News Central TV, and follow me personally at Dakbo at Digboyi. Until I come your way again, good night.